The audience whispered impatiently as the renowned pianist Adrian Vale stepped onto the stage, his usual smug grin sitting comfortably on his face. Cameras flashed, fans cheered, and he bowed with the confidence of a man who believed no one alive could outshine him. No one noticed a quiet woman standing near the back of the rehearsal hall, until Adrian's eyes landed on her. She was small, soft-spoken, dressed plainly, and holding a mop, just a hired cleaning staff, nothing more, or so everyone thought. Adrian smirked. "You there," he called out, pointing at her. "Ever played a piano before?" A murmur of laughter rippled through musicians gathered for the rehearsal. The woman froze, unsure if he was serious. I know a little," she whispered. "Oh, wonderful," Adrian chuckled mockingly. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our mop maestro a chance. Come on, sit, show us your skills." More laughter. Her cheeks flushed, but something in her eyes steadied. Something no one expected. She walked to the massive grand piano, its polished surface reflecting the lights above. Her fingers trembled as she lifted the fallboard, but the moment her hands hovered above the keys, her breathing slowed. Silence swallowed the room. Then she played. A single gentle note, then another, then a cascade of sounds so rich, so impossibly emotional, that the room seemed to tilt. Her hands danced across the keys with mastery that defied explanation. Swift but delicate, powerful yet heartbreakingly precise. The melody she played was unfamiliar, ancient, filled with longing, as if she were pouring her entire life into the instrument. The musicians who had laughed earlier now stared with their mouths open. Adrian Vale, famous, confident, unshakable, was frozen. The woman's playing grew bolder, the notes rising and falling like a storm sea. The hall vibrated with emotion. It was raw, pure, unfiltered genius. When she hit the final trembling note, the silence afterward felt alive. No one moved. No one breathed. Adrian swallowed hard, stepping forward, voice barely audible. Who taught you that?" She looked up, calm again, her expression unreadable. "My father," she said softly, "but he died before anyone ever heard me play." Adrian's face paled. He knew that piece. Only one man ever composed it. His childhood rival, a prodigy who vanished mysteriously years ago. "Your father was Elias Winter?" Adrian whispered. She nodded. The room erupted into stunned whispers. But before Adrian could say another word, the hall door slammed open. Someone yelling her name urgently, breathless, frantic. And the woman's face changed instantly, fear flashing through her eyes as she stood up from the piano. She whispered, "I shouldn't have played that here." Then she grabbed her bag and rushed toward the exit. The audience stared in confusion as Adrian stumbled after her. "Wait! Why are you running? What's going on?" he shouted. But she didn't stop. Outside, footsteps thundered down the corridor. A shadowy man in a dark coat scanned the hall, barking into a phone. "She's here." She played the piece. "Find her. Now." Adrian froze midway in the doorway as he heard it. He suddenly realized that melody wasn't just a forgotten composition. It was a signal, a warning, or worse, an invitation. And she had just triggered something powerful, dangerous, and very much alive. Adrian's pulse thudded in his ears as the hall lights snapped back on, flickering weakly. Musicians murmured nervously, unsure whether to leave or stay. But Adrian didn't hesitate. He sprinted into the corridor. The woman was gone. Only the echo of her footsteps remained, fading deeper into the building. He turned a corner and nearly collided with the man in the dark coat. The man's eyes widened in recognition. "You!" the stranger said sharply. "You were with her." Adrian stepped back, instinctively raising his hands. "I don't even know her name." "That's impossible," the man snapped. "Elias Winter wouldn't have left his daughter unprotected for this long unless—" He stopped mid-sentence, realizing he'd said too much. His jaw clenched. She unlocked the signal. "You heard it. Now tell me where she went." Adrian shook his head. "I don't know. And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you." The man reached inside his coat. Adrian tensed, but instead of a weapon, he pulled out a folded photograph. He shoved it toward Adrian. Find her before they do, before it's too late. They? Adrian echoed. But the man was already walking away, disappearing through a side door as fast as he had appeared. Adrian opened the photograph with trembling fingers. It was a picture of the woman, much younger, maybe 10 years old, sitting beside a man at a piano. Her father, Elias Winter. Behind them, sketched faintly on the piano's wooden panel, was an intricate symbol Adrian had never seen before. But something about it sent a chill down his spine. Footsteps approached. Adrian turned to see the building security guard jogging up. "Mr. Vale, everything all right? We saw someone running." "She went that way," Adrian said, pointing toward the side stairwell. "And I need to find her." The guard hesitated. "You sure you want to get involved in whatever that was?" "No," Adrian admitted, "but I don't have a choice." He took the stairs 2 at a time, the photograph clenched tightly in his hand. As he reached the lower floor, he heard faint music drifting from somewhere, soft, hurried, like someone nervously tapping keys. He followed the sound through a narrow hallway until he came to a dim practice room. The door was cracked open. Inside, the woman was sitting at an old upright piano, breathing hard, fingers trembling above the keys as if she couldn't stop herself from playing. "You need to leave," she said without turning around. "You shouldn't be here." Adrian stepped inside quietly. "Who was that man? Why is your father's music dangerous?" She finally looked up, eyes wide with fear and frustration. "It's not the music that's dangerous. It's what the melody contains." He frowned. "What does that mean?" She wiped her palms on her skirt, voice shaking. "My father wasn't just a composer. He was hiding something inside his music, something powerful. People have been searching for it since he died." As she spoke, her fingers drifted over the keys again, almost unconsciously, playing a soft fragment of the same haunting melody from earlier. Adrian froze as something peculiar happened. The piano strings vibrated with a strange resonance, like 2 notes playing simultaneously from different directions. A cold wave shivered down his spine. "That's why they want me," she whispered, "because I'm the only one who can play it correctly." A loud crash echoed from somewhere upstairs. They both jolted. "They found us," she breathed. Before Adrian could react, she grabbed his hand and pulled him toward a back exit he hadn't noticed behind a curtain. "We need to go. Now." She pushed open the door, and the 2 of them stepped into the chilly night, just as a group of dark figures entered the hallway behind them. Cold air rushed around them as they burst into the alley, their footsteps splashing through puddles left by a recent rain. Behind them, the door slammed open, shadows spilling out like hunters released into the night. The woman tightened her grip on Adrian's wrist. "Don't stop. Whatever you do, don't look back." But Adrian did. He saw 3 men in dark coats sweeping the alley with their eyes, one of them holding a small device with glowing blue lines pulsing across its surface. It beeped whenever it pointed toward the woman, like it was tracking something inside her. "What is that?" Adrian whispered, still running. "It reacts to the melody," she said breathlessly, "to the frequency my father embedded in the composition. They can track it or me whenever I play." Adrian's mind raced as they rounded a corner into the main street. Cars passed, oblivious to the danger unfolding between the shadows. Neon lights flickered on wet pavement. He slowed, chest heaving. "We can't outrun them forever." She turned to him, her eyes fierce despite the fear. "I know. That's why we need to hide the melody." "How do you hide music?" "You don't," she said. "You transfer it." Before he could ask what that meant, a horn blared, a black SUV screeched around the corner, tires smoking, blocking the street ahead of them. The side door slid open. "Get in," a familiar voice shouted. Adrian froze. It was the stern man from earlier, the one who shoved the photograph into his hand. He leaned out, looking impatient and urgent. "Both of you. Now." The woman pulled Adrian toward the vehicle. "He's not with them." "But who is he?" Adrian asked. "I'll explain," she said. "If we survive tonight." They dove into the SUV, and the man slammed the door shut before flooring the accelerator. The vehicle shot forward, leaving the dark-coated figures shrinking in the rear window. Inside the SUV, city lights streaked past like ghostly ribbons. The woman's chest rose and fell rapidly as she leaned back, shaken but trying to compose herself. Adrian turned to the man driving. "Start talking. Why are they after her? What's in the music?" The man kept his eyes on the road. "Not here. Too risky. But you need to understand one thing. Elias Winter didn't just compose music. He encoded a message inside his final piece." "What kind of message?" Adrian asked. "A map." The woman stiffened. "You never said that part." "You were too young when your father died," the man replied quietly. "But yes, a map to something he called the resonance point, a location he spent his life protecting." Adrian blinked. "Protecting from who?" The man's face darkened. "From the same people who are hunting you now. They believe the resonance point can amplify any frequency, sound, energy, even certain forms of knowledge. If they reach it first, they'll weaponize it." Adrian swallowed hard. "And you want her to lead you to it?" The woman looked between them, distrusting both. "I'm not leading anyone anywhere. I didn't even know this existed." The man finally glanced in the rearview mirror, eyes meeting hers. "You're the only one who can play the melody correctly. And the melody is the key." Suddenly, the SUV jerked violently to the side. A second vehicle had rammed them. Adrian grabbed the seat in front of him as the tires screeched. The woman screamed as the glass cracked. "They found us already?" Adrian shouted. "They're tracking the resonance still lingering in her hands." The man snapped. "Hold on." He yanked the wheel, speeding through an intersection. Another hit sent the SUV swerving dangerously close to a row of parked cars. The woman grabbed Adrian's arm, her voice trembling. "They won't stop. Not until—" A deafening boom cut her off. The pursuing vehicle's headlights flared behind them, and then exploded, swallowed in fire. The SUV sped onward, but the shock of the blast hung in the air. Adrian turned slowly to the woman, who was staring wide-eyed, shaking. What just happened?" he whispered. She swallowed hard, her voice barely audible. "That wasn't them." The man driving tightened his grip on the wheel, face grim. "We're not the only ones following you." The flaming wreck behind them shrank in the distance, but the shock inside the SUV grew heavier, pressing on all three as the city blurred past. Adrian felt the vibration of the explosion in his bones, a violent reminder that they'd just stepped into something far bigger than a simple chase. The woman's voice trembled. "If that wasn't them, who else is after us?" The driver inhaled slowly, gripping the wheel until his knuckles turned white. "Another faction, one we hoped would never resurface." Adrian's skin prickled. "And they blew an entire car apart just to get to her?" "They're not after her," the man said, eyes fixed ahead. "They're after what they think she carries." The woman shook her head. "I don't carry anything." "Yes," the man said softly. "You do. You inherited it." Before she could respond, he reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a small metal cylinder, no larger than a lipstick tube. He handed it to her. "What is this?" she asked. "Elias's failsafe," the man said. "He entrusted it to me before he died. He said it would activate only when you played the melody perfectly." She stared at the cylinder, recognizing the same symbol engraved on it, the same one carved faintly into her childhood piano in the photograph. "Open it," the man urged. "Only you can." Her fingers trembled as she twisted the base. The cylinder clicked, then unfurled with a soft mechanical hum, revealing a tiny crystalline shard pulsing with faint blue light. Adrian leaned closer. "What is that?" The man's voice lowered. "A resonance crystal. Your father invented them. That shard contains the second half of the melody." The woman blinked. "Second half? I only learned one part." "Elias taught you the safe half," the man replied. "The first half identifies the resonance point. The second half unlocks it." Adrian exhaled shakily. "So, if the wrong people get both halves, they could unleash something none of us are prepared for." The SUV turned abruptly onto a quiet service road. leaving the main streets behind. Old storage buildings loomed around them like silent giants. The engine finally quieted as the man parked behind a rusted metal warehouse. "We need to get off the grid," he said. "They'll track any signal. Phones, traffic cams, even residence traces if she hums the wrong tune." The woman clutched the crystal. "Where are we?" "A safe house," he said, climbing out. "But it won't stay safe for long." Adrian followed, glancing around nervously. "Are you going to tell us who you really are now?" The man paused by the warehouse door, entering a long code into a hidden keypad. "I work with Elias," he said quietly. I was the only one he trusted with the truth. And the truth is what? Some ancient sound energy treasure hunt. Adrian asked. The man didn't smile. "The truth," he said, pulling open a heavy door, "is that your father discovered a way to manipulate physical reality using harmonic frequencies, sound that can heal or destroy." The woman froze in the doorway. "My father never wanted to hurt anyone." "I know," the man said, "but the people chasing you, they don't share his principles." Inside, the warehouse glowed with a soft amber light. Maps, monitors, and strange instruments filled the room. At the center stood a massive device, a circular frame made of metal and wood. Strings stretched across it like some futuristic harp. Adrian stared. "What is that?" The woman stepped closer, recognizing the craftsmanship immediately. "It's my father's design." "Yes," the man said. "His final invention, the resonance gate." She touched one of the strings. It vibrated, emitting a low hum that made the crystal in her hand glow brighter. The man swallowed hard. "You just activated it." Before anyone could speak, a loud crash echoed from outside. Adrian spun to the door. "What was that?" The man checked a monitor, and his face drained of color. "They found us," he whispered. The woman turned pale. "Which group?" The man stared at the surveillance feed. More vehicles approaching from the road, but also black drones descending silently from the sky. "Both of them," he said. "They're here at the same time." Adrian's heart pounded. "What do we do?" The man opened a metal case, grabbing a strange tuning fork-like instrument and thrusting it into the woman's hands. "You play," he said urgently, "but not the whole melody, just the first resonance. It will shield us briefly." Her eyes widened. "I haven't practiced this in years." "You don't have years," he snapped. "You have seconds." Outside, the note rang through the warehouse like a blade of pure sound, slicing through the air with impossible clarity. The resonance gate behind her lit up instantly, its strings vibrating in response, humming with ancient, buried power. Dust lifted from the floor. The lights flickered. The crystal in her hand glowed so brightly she had to squint. Outside, the attackers staggered back as an invisible shockwave rippled outward, warping the air. For a moment, just a moment, it pushed them away, buying precious seconds of quiet. But the woman knew it wouldn't last. Adrian steadied her shoulder. "What happens if you play the whole melody?" The man answered before she could. "If she plays all of it, the gate will open. But once it's open, there's no closing it. And we have no idea what will come through." The woman stared at the gate, her pulse trembling like the strings themselves. She thought of her father, his tired smile, his gentle lessons, his warnings she never understood. "Elias didn't create this to be a weapon," the man said softly. "He created it to hide something." Adrian frowned. "Hide what?" The man hesitated, then whispered. "Knowledge. A resonance that could heal minds, mend fractured memories, calm any chaos. A frequency that could change the world, if used with compassion." The woman felt tears prick her eyes. She understood now why her father had kept her hidden, why he made the melody so complex only she could complete it, why he protected it until his last breath. Outside, the attackers recovered and surged forward again. The warehouse walls shuddered as they forced their way in, shouting orders, weapons raised. The woman lifted the tuning fork instrument again, but the man gently lowered her hand. "They'll never stop hunting you," he said. "Not while that knowledge is locked inside a melody only you can play." "So what do I do?" she whispered. The man looked at her with a mix of fear and hope. "Set it free." The woman stepped toward the resonance gate. Adrian followed, but she shook her head. "No," she said softly. "Only I can finish this." She placed her hand on the strings. They vibrated instantly, recognizing her touch, resonating with the crystal. The melody unfolded in her mind, not fragmented this time, but whole, complete, beautiful. She closed her eyes and played. The sound wasn't just heard, it was felt. A warm wave spread across the warehouse, sweeping through metal, wood, air, and bone. The attackers froze mid-step, their anger draining from their faces as the melody wrapped around them like light. Their weapons fell from numb fingers. Some sank to their knees. A few wept silently. The gate glowed brighter and brighter until it swallowed the room in radiance. And then, silence. When Adrian opened his eyes, the warehouse had changed. The attackers lay unconscious, but unharmed. The drones were dark, lifeless. The man in the coat stood in awe, staring at the gate, now dimming slowly. And the woman, she stood at the center of it all. The crystal dissolved into shimmering dust around her. She looked calm, peaceful, lighter, as if a burden had been lifted from her shoulders. "What happened?" Adrian whispered. She turned to him with a soft, tired smile. "I let it go. The melody isn't mine anymore. It belongs to the world." "But the resonance point?" the man asked. "The knowledge." She placed her hand on the gate. "It's gone. Released. No one can weaponize it now. My father's secret is safe." The man bowed his head, relief washing over him. Elias would be proud. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance, police alerted by the explosion and the chase. The night wind carried a new stillness through the broken warehouse door. Adrian stepped closer to her. "So what happens to you now?" She looked out at the quiet street beyond, her expression no longer fearful, just free. "I start over," she said, "without running, without hiding." Adrian nodded. "And the piano?" She smiled. "I think I'll play again, but this time just for me." Together, they walked out of the ruined warehouse as dawn began to rise, painting the sky gold. Behind them, the resonance gate flickered one last time, then fell silent forever.